arrest me.
I don't want us to have.
I've told you where the vehicle is.
The truck was actually coming from Ring Road. It missed a step. So as it was trying to gather itself, it fell.
What we are witnessing these days, it is something we can no longer.
Parents and other non-governmental organizations, they don't value education.
A visit to the University of Benin, Ugbawa campus, it was observed that some departments, especially where examinations had already been scheduled, academic activities continued as planned, as students were seen writing exams under close supervision. Speaking with BeeTv News, some parents and residents expressed concern over the disruption of the academic calendar, urging the federal government to urgently address ASU's demand. They emphasized that continuous industrial actions not only affect students' academic progress, but also dampen the morale of both staff and parents who have invested heavily in education. They called on both parties to reach a common ground to ensure that learning continues without further interruptions.
People don't value education. The government, parents, and other non-governmental organizations, they don't value education. And education is the bedrock of any development of any country. The universities, they are the citadels of growth, of learning. So by the time the children that are supposed to be trained to come out in the society, they are left at home not doing anything. Well, you can predict what will happen to the next generation.
They know what they are doing, and the federal ASU, because if the ASUs are not there, the students won't go to school. So since the ASU have been complaining that federal government have not met up to their demand, that is why students, we are having majority of our students are half-baked. They are half-baked. So the impacts at which they delivered.
Actually, the strike is not really necessary, because I believe the strike is also holding our people down for them not to go to school. But my own advice to the government should put things in order.
I really think ASU needs to stand their ground in terms of the strike. You know, if they are going to go on strike, they have to make sure that their terms that they are crying out for are met before they call off the strike. There's no point going on strike and government tells you something, you opt out, and you are going on strike again the next month. Stand your ground. If it means you have to stay for another 6 months to get what you want, get it out so that students can go back to school and graduate on time.
The 2-week warning strike, according to ASU, is to press home the full implementation of the renegotiated 2009 FGN and ASU agreement, and to reporting for BeeTv News.
Edo State Youth Coordinator for Asiwaju 2027, High Chief Lucky Oyimai, has pledged his unwavering allegiance to the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, describing the president as a generational leader whose transformative leadership must be sustained beyond 2027. BeeTv News senior reporter Best Orator reports that Mr. Tarek stated this over last weekend when he addressed a large crowd of people in Owan West local government area of Edo State.
It was a sight to behold in Sabogida Ora, the administrative headquarters of Oman West local government area of Edo State, as an unprecedented mammoth crowd of people trooped to the Palatine Garden residence of High Chief Lucky Oyimai, aka Tares, when the news of his arrival into the town filtered in. The respected APC leader of Oman West and Chief Executive Officer of Tares conglomerate, in a powerful show of solidarity and unwavering support, received the crowd amidst excitement. The crowd of people who showed up at the residence of High Chief Lucky Ohimai was overwhelming despite not giving a formal notice of his coming to the town. In his inspiring address, High Chief Lucky Ohimai commended the executive governor of Edo State, Senator Ohimai, aka Taris, was officially appointed youth coordinator for Asiwaju 2027 by Governor Monday Okpebholo. His appointment was no surprise to those who have followed his political trajectory. It was the natural recognition of years of dedication, impact, and visible loyalty to the party and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Best Orator reporting for BeeTv News.
Newly appointed technical manager of Bendel Insurance FC, Kennedy Boboye, has arrived in Benin City in readiness for his unveiling and new role. The report.
On arrival in Benin City, Coach Kennedy Boboye was warmly received by the Executive Chairman, Edo State Sports Commission, Honorable Amadi Desmond Nabulele, and top officials of the commission, as well as the general manager of the club, Charles Ehimekme. He was immediately taken on a guided tour of facilities at the iconic Samuel Gumida Stadium on Monday by the chairman of Edo State Sports Commission, Honorable Amadi Desmond Nabulele, and insurance top officials. He was conducted around key facilities, including the main bowl, training pitches, dressing rooms, media center, gym, and the recovery center. The tour marks the beginning of a new chapter for the experienced gaffer, as he has already sealed a 2-year deal with the Benin Arsenals and now in Benin City, ready for the unveiling ceremony scheduled to hold this Tuesday. Reporting for BeeTv News.
The crisis within the People's Democratic Party, PDP, appears to be deepening as the party has lost yet another key figure to the All Progressive Congress, APC. The governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, has officially defected from the PDP to join the ruling APC, marking a significant political shift in the Southeast region. Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State has formally announced his defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. The declaration was made during a stakeholders town hall meeting held at the government house in Enugu. Elected under the PDP platform, Governor Mba is making the move to the APC alongside members of the State House of Assembly, local government chairmen, councillors, and other key political figures in the state. The governor explained that the decision came after extensive reflection and consultations with key stakeholders across the state. He stated that the move was driven by the need to better align Enugu State with the federal government, ensuring greater access to national resources and opportunities for development. Governor Mba also commended President Bola Tinubu's administration, noting that Enugu State has already benefited from the president's policies and support general election to November 2026, 6 months earlier than the traditional February schedule. This proposal is part of the 2025 Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which was unveiled on Monday during a joint public hearing organized by the Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters in Abuja. The bill, which seeks to attract lawmakers, civil society organizations, and other key stakeholders to the one-day public hearing. According to the lawmakers, the proposed adjustment is aimed at ensuring that all elections-related litigations are resolved before the constitutionally mandated handover date of May 29. However, they acknowledge that simply moving the election date may not be sufficient unless the judiciary is also strengthened to efficiently handle the high volume of elections petitions. If passed, the amendment would mean that Nigeria's presidential and governorship elections could take place in November 2026, approximately 6 months before the end of the current administration's tenure. Education has often been described as the backbone of every society, one that must be nurtured, sustained, and prioritized to guarantee meaningful development and a prosperous future for coming generations. This was echoed by the chairman of Ibarapa Central Local Government, Lush, during an event where he reaffirmed his administration's unwavering commitment to advancing administration education. Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aina, has paid an unscheduled visit to healthcare facilities in the Chikara community of Kogi State and the Abidjan local government area of the Federal Capital Territory. The visit was aimed at assessing the progress. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak has presented checks totaling 80 million naira to the families of forest guards and vigilante members who recently lost their lives in confrontations with kidnappers in Ifelodun and other local government areas of the state. The gesture is part of the state government's efforts to honor the sacrifices of the fallen heroes and supports their grieving families. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak has approved a 100 million naira support package for the families of brave men from Edu and Patigi local government areas who were killed in an ambush by kidnappers in July. The victims, mostly farmers, had mobilized to confront the kidnappers following a series of abductions in their communities. The governor commended their courage and patriotism, describing their actions as selfless sacrifice for the safety and security of others. He also offered prayers for the peaceful repose of their souls. And now to the business news. Standard Chartered Bank Nigeria Limited has successfully hosted the third edition of its Standard Chartered Banking Academy, a flagship initiative aimed at empowering women in the banking sector. The event in Lagos brought together female banking professionals across Nigeria to enhance leadership skills, knowledge sharing, and networking. Let's join BeeTv News Team Oluwafemi for details and more from the business world. Reports from the segments of today. Weeks after widespread protests swept Indonesia over the excessive pace of lawmakers, a new allowance raise has unleashed fresh public anger. Lawmakers will now get 702 million rupiah in recess allowances, a near double increase from the previous allowance of 400 million rupiah, said the country's deputy House Speaker. The reports.
The recess allowance is meant to support lawmakers carrying out their official duties like visiting constituents when parliament is not in session. The protests earlier in August were triggered primarily by a $3,000 monthly housing allowance given to lawmakers, nearly 10 times the minimum wage in Jakarta. These were later caught in a bid to quell anger. August protests began after thousands demonstrated against the housing allowances for MPS, but they soon spilled into a wider protest over corruption and economic inequality in Southeast Asia's largest economy. And now, news of the latest recess allowance hike, which kicked in on October 3rd, has renewed controversy around this. Indonesia lawmakers take around 5 recesses a year, during which they visit their electoral districts and gather feedback from residents. The hike in recess allowance is meant to match the increased activities by lawmakers during their recesses. Sofmi Dasko Ahmad told reporters.
Again, from the previous reports on the business news, Standard Chartered Bank Nigeria Limited has successfully hosted the third edition of its Standard Chartered Banking Academy, a flagship initiative aimed at empowering women in the banking sector. The event in Lagos brought together female banking professionals across Nigeria to enhance leadership skills, knowledge sharing, and networking. Let's join BeeTv News Pemi Oluwafemi for details and from the business world.
Since its launch in 2023, the Academy has benefited over 40 women, equipping them to excel in their careers. The program is part of Standard Chartered's broader strategy to promote diversity and inclusion within the financial service industry. It complements other initiatives such as the Women in Technology Incubator, which supports female entrepreneurs in tech, supported by partners including the International Chamber of Commerce Nigerian chapter and the Association of Professional Women Bankers. The bank remains committed to developing female leaders to strengthen Nigeria's financial